Hey, how's it going? I got a frog in my throat, I guess, this morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Normally, I'm Marty Cole, by the way, if you were wondering who I am. Sometimes I'm called the Salt Lake Cynic. I tend to be agnostic about pretty much everything in life, and I ask a lot of questions. It's not so much that I'm cynical about everything as it is that I just question a lot of things. And so I was out and about today, running errands in Salt Lake City downtown. Actually, I'm exploring the coffee shops, which I'm making videos of. And so I was cutting through the temple complex here, and normally I make these videos on Sunday. I call it Existential Sunday, in which I talk about existential topics: religion, faith, agnosticism, atheism, doubt, belief, things of this nature. And so I don't know, I just thought I would do one of these videos with the LDS temple in the background, and I simply want to ask a question. I just want to pose a question for all of you watching this video to think about. First, little background. This temple took 40 years to build, and back in the 19th century, I mean, that's basically a lifetime for some people. You're talking about a time prior to antibiotics, modern surgical methods. Life was, as Thomas Hobbes once famously said, was short, nasty, and brutish. So lifespans were about 40 years, 40, 50, maybe you'd be lucky and make it to 60. So it took 40 years to actually construct this temple, which again is a lifetime for many people in the 19th century. So I want to pose a question that I don't think a lot of people ever really think about, and especially people who hold various faiths, whether those faiths are rooted in Islam or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or your run-of-the-mill Christianity. And the question is this: is the afterlife a problem? And what I mean by that is, more specifically, is the belief in an afterlife a problem? A problem for individuals, a problem for society collectively in general. And I just want you to think about this. An enormous amount of time, money, resources all went into the construction of this temple, and to the temples that are continually being built all over the world, and not just temples, but mosques and churches and all these things for people whose orientation is the afterlife, much like the ancient Egyptians who spent their whole lives, well, at least the upper class of ancient Egypt, spent their whole lives preparing for their journey to the afterlife. And I just want to pose the question: is this belief in an afterlife a problem for us as a species? Because it just seems to me that, when human beings spend a huge amount of time, resources, and money spent in this pursuit of preparing for the afterlife, that the other things that should concern us in the here and now, dictatorships, poverty, man's inhumanity to man, all sorts of things which should be commanding our attention and should be beckoning for our resources and our time and money and whatnot. But instead, all over this planet, people that believe in an afterlife, whether they're Muslim, whether they're Christians, whether they're Mormons, whether they're Jewish, whatever, Hindus, this belief in the afterlife that prompts people to spend huge amounts of time, money, and resources, in pursuit of this. And again, the construction of the temples is a visual kind of reminder of that. Do the other things that should concern us, do they go by the wayside. You know, many churches, many religions, you know, all over this planet, you know, when you bring up, you know, poverty or dictatorship or you know, governments that are, you know, torturing and murdering people, many people of faith, many people who are preparing for the afterlife will say things like, well, you know, that's a terrible thing. That's what's happening, you know, in either our country or some other country or whatnot. That's a terrible thing, and I don't approve of it. But, you know, myself and my fellow congregants, my fellow faith holders, we are preparing for the afterlife. We are preparing to meet our Maker. We are preparing to meet our God, or gods if you're Hindu, if you believe in plural gods. We're preparing to meet our Maker, and so we don't really concern ourselves with the things of this world. In fact, in the Bible there are several admonishments not to be concerned about the things of the world, because you know, the Apostle Paul in the New Testament is urging fellow Christians to focus on the afterlife. And certainly, again, all kinds of religions do this, from Islam to Baptist, you know, Christianity, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They all do it. And I just want to pose this question: is this a problem? I mean, has it set us back, you know, as a species, as a, you know, in our respective societies? Has this retarded scientific advancement? Has this hindered or been an impediment to, you know, the sharing of resources, the focusing on, you know, terrible, terrible things that are done all over this planet? It just seems to me, and again, that's why I'm asking the question, that when you focus on the afterlife, much to the exclusion of all other things, that it's a problem. And I've heard some people who are religious, they've said, well, you know, we kind of balance, especially, in fact, I've heard a lot of Catholics actually kind of say this, well, you know, we balance preparation for the afterlife with, you know, doing good works here in you know, in the here and now. And certainly there's no you know, debate. I mean, certainly there's no you know, I can certainly acknowledge that, in fact, yes, the Catholic Church and many other churches, including the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, have done wonderfully good things in the here and now. No question about that. And maybe some people of faith do try to balance, you know, the preparation, you know, for the afterlife, the preparation to meet God, with doing things in the here and now. But I would argue that it's a precarious balance, and many times, you know, the what consumes the, you know, time, money, resources of those people of faith is actually preparation for the afterlife, preparation to meet God, at the exclusion of taking care of things here in the here and now. So I just wanted to pose this question, with the temple in the background that took 40 years to construct, which again was a lifetime in the 19th century. I just want to pose this question: is the afterlife a problem? Is belief in the afterlife hindering human progress? For me, for an agnostic, for an atheist, and I don't know, I guess we can get into another debate as to whether I'm an atheist, whether I'm an agnostic. I kind of consider myself more agnostic. I am kind of drawn to faith. I'm kind of drawn to stories in the Bible, but at the end of the day, I just don't see a whole lot of evidence for that. So I tend to be agnostic on just about everything. I'm not really cynical about life, but I am agnostic. So I just wanted to pose this question and you know, and ask you guys to basically think about, you know, is belief in the afterlife a problem? has this hindered our progress, you know, as a species? And I think it has. I think it definitely has. My personal opinion, this is just my opinion. You can take it for what it's worth. I believe that the fall of the Roman Empire was one of the worst things that could have ever happened to us, and I believe that what happened after the fall of the empire for roughly about 1500 years, what we call the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages, I think that impeded, retarded our progress in untold ways. Again, there's no way to ever prove this or you know, have some type of definitive evidence, but I believe that if it was not for the fall of the Roman Empire, we'd probably be, you know, traveling in starships at this point, because the Romans, building upon the science of the Greeks and the inquisitive nature of scientific inquiry, the Romans were already on the verge of discovering germ theory. They suspected that there were tiny creatures, what we call microbes, that were at work and were responsible for many of the ailments that were befalling Roman citizens. And so I think that they were on the cusp of germ theory. They were on the cusp of major scientific advancements, and unfortunately Rome fell to my ancestors, actually, the German barbarians, Gauls and Visigoths and Vandals and all of the tribes of Northern Europe. So anyways, I just wanted to pose this question, because I tend to think that belief in the afterlife is a problem, and I'm not sure what we do about it. I'm not sure how we persuade millions and millions of people to kind of question that faith, to kind of question that belief. It's a sticky problem. So anyways, take care, everybody. This is just another video on my YouTube channel. Take it for what it's worth. But is the afterlife a problem? Yeah, I think belief in the afterlife is definitely a problem. So take care, my friends. Until next time. Bye.